NATO chief Mark Rutte says the alliance is working on ways to strengthen Arctic security as Europe scrambles to respond to Washington's continued interest in taking control of Greenland. President Trump argues that having control of Greenland is a matter of national security, particularly in the face of Chinese and Russian aggression. Speaking during a visit to Croatia, Rutte agreed with Trump's sentiment, but said the best response is a united one.
Working together here. And my only worry is, how do we stay safe against the Russians, against any other adversary? Look at what China is doing in rapidly building up its own armed forces, but also North Koreans and others who might wish us ill, and not well at least. And therefore, that's my role, and I think we will get there. No, not at all, and I think we are really working in the right direction here.
Let's get more on this now from DW's Teri Schultz in Brussels. Teri, what do you make of the NATO chief's statement on Greenland there?
Well, what you couldn't see there is how he tried to avoid making any statement about Greenland. He was asked 3 times by Croatian journalists directly about Trump's threats to Greenland, and only by the 3rd time was the Secretary General convinced to answer anything except in general about Arctic security. And you saw there how he was pressed on whether this is a crisis for the alliance, and he says, no, we're moving in the right direction because, of course, all allies do believe that it's a great thing if you improve Arctic security. They agree that it's been perhaps a bit neglected in the past. So those are the safe topics where everybody's on the same page. Where everybody is definitely not on the same page is on whether Trump's threats to invade Greenland are appropriate. And of course, I think nobody except the United States believes that they are.
Yeah, but last night, the U.S. president reiterated his concerns about Russia and China. Let's listen to what he said.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen.
How real, Teri, is this concern that Russia or China could seize control of Greenland?
Well, nobody would argue that Russia and China have the potential to cause a lot of mischief in the Arctic, and to some extent already are. But even the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, Alexis Grinkowicz, was yesterday at a conference in Sweden, asked whether there is any direct, immediate threat to NATO from Russia or China, and he had to say no. But he did say that, of course, they could scale up their presence, their military activities very quickly, and we should be ahead of that. Again, no allies are going to dispute this. But if you look at open source intelligence, and I've spoken with many sources about this, people just at this point are not seeing a heavy presence. Again, you can get everyone to agree around the table that you can scale up now and avoid any trouble for NATO. But there is just not this direct threat that President Trump is claiming at the moment.
So what can NATO actually do to stop Trump's efforts to, quote unquote, get Greenland, as he's putting it? And what are the implications we're maybe already now seeing of this situation for an alliance that is already under a lot of strain?
Well, I think at the moment that NATO itself is hoping that diplomacy on a bilateral level can perhaps one more time talk Trump out of what he's thinking about NATO. So any European leaders with connections to Trump or to other high-level officials are definitely trying to talk him out of this, to say that collectively we can improve Arctic security, and that will be enough, that you have no reason to have to take over Greenland. You've already got a base there. Just send a few more soldiers. You've got Johan Vadefol there in Washington today, as a matter of fact. But nobody is sure that it's going to work this time to try to talk Trump out of this. In fact, the Greenlandic government just issued another statement tonight saying this is not acceptable. We will not, under any circumstances, accept a U.S. takeover of our country. So I think nerves are really on edge now. I think that, in the past, we've seen them able to paper over, to come out with statements that placate Trump on the 5% defense spending, for example. I don't see any sense that this is going to be one of those times that everything's really going to be okay, as Secretary General Mark Rutte would like everyone to believe.
Teri Schultz in Brussels, thank you so much for your reporting.